Hello, my name is Jacob Valdez, and here I'm going to tell you an explanation about the coronavirus. So, the family of coronaviruses, so why they're called coronavirus is because they have crown-like spikes, or corona in Latin. So there are thousands of kinds of coronaviruses, which 7 of them infect humans. 4 of them attack the upper respiratory tract, the nose and throat, while 2 of them attack the lungs. And the SARS-CoV-2, the one that causes coronavirus that we're in a pandemic of now, which some of my family members also have, has both. It spreads easily, but it also can cause severe damage to the lungs. So, well, how can you tell a coronavirus apart from other viruses like influenza? So first, coronaviruses are actually one of the biggest RNA viruses. So you're probably not familiar with the word RNA. So basically, it's half of DNA which our cells use to translate to ribosomes, so that those pieces of RNA that actually float around, then it sends messenger RNA to ribosomes that are actually made of their own RNA, our RNA, and then they get tRNA to give them the amino acids, and maybe I'll make another video about how proteins are made. So anyway, coronaviruses are one of the biggest viruses of the RNA viruses. And they have a special enzyme that they actually use to stop mistakes in their genome, and when they do find a mistake, to fix it. This is why it's easier to cure coronavirus than, like, say, a influenza or the flu, because corona is actually mutate slower, so there's less possibility of new strains. Still, it multiplies very frequently. And now, why do people compare corona to influenza? Now, they're both respiratory viruses, but corona is a lot more dangerous. The death rates aren't actually exact, but corona is actually more contagious. One person can infect 8 people at once, while influenza can only infect 2. So that means corona is 4 times as more contagious as influenza. So now, this is what happens when your body's infected by corona. So first, it enters through your eye, nose, or mouth by you cough droplets that contain the virus, or by just rubbing against something that had the coronavirus, including another person that has it, and then rubbing your eyes, nose, or mouth. That's why we shouldn't touch our face, especially when we're outside and with other people. So then when it enters the body, and it doesn't just affect the lungs. Sometimes it affects the spleen or intestines, but mainly the lungs. So inside the lungs, there are billions of epithelial cells, the lining of your lungs. So these are the first cells that the corona infects. It uses a receptor, we just call it corona receptor since I still don't know the real name. But this corona receptor attaches to a receptor on the epithelial cells called the ACE2 receptor. So then it enters into the cell and then tells the cell to copy the instructions, which is simple. Copy and reassemble. The cell gets filled with viruses until it receives one final order: self-destruct. So it bursts, and then the viruses are released. And also smallpox can do this as well, but coronavirus can actually spread through the cell lining, like push through the 2 membranes, and then enter another cell that way. Note, smallpox can also do this. So then after it enters the cell, after it kills a cell, then more cells get infected, and then after about 10 days, you start getting the symptoms: coughing, sneezing, fever. That's because the body actually finds it. And by that time, millions of infected cells and the same amount have died, and billions of viruses swarm the lungs. Now, it's going to cause real damage. This is also the case of why other infections like Ebola and some strains of influenza are dangerous. The coronavirus actually hijacks our immune cells, our guard cells, and then cause them to kill their own cells. They're making the guards kill their own people. So there are two immune cells that cause the most damage. If you want us to do another video on the immune system, then you can just comment down below, and then we'll make a video of them. Anyways, so the two cells that cause the most damage are neutrophils and killer T cells. First, neutrophils, which are also the most common cells, are good at killing stuff, including your cells. So when they come in their thousands, sometimes millions, they start vomiting out enzymes that destroy both infected and healthy cells. They're not targeted, they're the innate immune system, which I'll explain in another video.
Okay, what's the difference with the influence? What's the difference?
And also, wait, but I can't explain it right now.
That's gonna be for another video.
Yes.
Okay.
So then after the neutrophils start pumping out enzymes, then they also explode and release their nets or a neutrophil extracellular net. No, I mean it's neutrophil extracellular trap that actually that is supposed to kill foreign invaders. Now usually this is for bacteria, but since they're hijacked, they think it's bacteria that's attacking. So they attacked it like how they would attack, like, say, the strep throat, except they're actually doing damage. So the other cell, the killer T cell, these are targeted, but since they're hijacked, they don't know what to do. So these killer T cells, these are part of the adaptive immune system. So usually they don't come until the early stages, until the late stages. But when they do a lot of damage. So then these cells are meant to kill infected cells by checking their MHC class 1 molecules if it has the virus antigen. And in case that doesn't work, then the natural killer cells come, which I will explain later. So then the killer T cells, when they come, the corona infects them. That's how they hijack the neutrophils as well, by the way. Then they start killing both infected and healthy cells. They kill as much friends as enemies. And then more cells come in, and the natural killer cells that are supposed to check cancer cells, they are also hijacked, and they also start killing cells. And then more, and then the immune system starts wasting its resources, and it also kill the friends. And then it starts a lot of chaos in the lungs. This is also the reason why. This is also how a little percentage of the people die from corona. We'll talk about the other cases later. So then after about how a month, the immune system cleans up the battlefield. It kills the last viruses, and then recovery begins. But since it used its resources, and since a lot of cells died in the fights, the immune system is at a low health. So that leaves other bacteria to infect and cause pneumonia, the main cause of death from coronavirus. Okay, that's it. I have to go. Bye.